friends! Today I'm going to show you a quick demonstration how to join a bind off in the round. Normally when you complete your bind off on the cuff of a sweater sleeve or the hem of a sweater, for example, once you bind off all the way around, there's a little bit of a gap there that needs to be closed. Now there's two different methods that I use to do this. Number one, if you have a crochet hook laying around, you can join it with a slip stitch, which I'll demonstrate first. If not, I will also show you how to do this using a darning needle and sewing that gap closed. This can also be done for cast-ons that you work flat. For example, the tubular cast-on has a couple of setup rows, and so you normally work that flat back and forth, and then after you're done with the cast-on, you join it in the round. This method can also be used for closing that gap as well. The first method I'm going to show you is how to use a crochet hook to fix this gap right here. So if I hold this up, you can see there's two problems here. First of all, this side over here is quite a bit higher than this side here, and also there's this big gap right here in the middle. So I'm just going to grab my crochet hook and I'm going to put it through the last loop that was on my knitting needle, and I'm going to pull it nice and tight. I'm going to find the very first stitch that I bound off. Here's my gap. Here is my first stitch that I bound off. We need to identify both legs of that stitch. So here's the first leg and here is the second leg. I'm going to go ahead and insert my crochet hook underneath leg 1 and then underneath leg 2. Now I'm going to perform a slip stitch. I'm going to grab the yarn in the mouth of the crochet hook and I'm going to pull it under both of these legs. So it pulls up a loop. So now I have two loops on my crochet hook. And now I'm going to also pull this loop through the original loop. Now I've already cut my yarn, so this is a long tail. So now I can pull, I'm going to remove my crochet hook, and I'm just going to keep pulling all the way through until my tail comes all the way through and there's no more loops left. So you can see this has done two different things here. Number one, it has evened out so that these are both on the same plane right there. Also, it has closed that gap. Now all you would do is pull this yarn behind, and once you weave it in, you can see what it will look like once that is woven in and the tension is put on it. And now we have a nice seamless join between the two sides. The second method I'm going to show you to join this gap together is to use a darning needle. So I've already put this on the end of my very long tail, and I'm going to show you how I like to perform a slip stitch with a darning needle. So I'm just going to gently pull this loop so that it is more a correct size of the needle I was using. I'm going to be very careful because I definitely don't want to pull that loop all the way through, but I do want to get it to a more reasonable size. Now I'm going to take my darning needle and I'm going to put it through the front of the loop, and I'm going to gently pull my yarn all the way through. Once it's all the way through, I want to then use my darning needle to catch the same two front legs as we did in the crochet slip stitch. I'm going to come from back to front this time, and I'm going to go under the first leg and then under the second leg, and then I'm just going to sew this through. And I'm going to be very careful not to pull too tightly here. I'm going to adjust here at the end. Okay, so I've pulled that. You can tell this is still really loose. Now I'm going to follow the yarn, my live yarn here. Okay, so this is my live yarn. It comes into this stitch here because we went through the back, through that stitch. I want to follow that with my needle and insert my needle the same way going out of the stitch that I went into it in the first place. Okay, so I'm following my live yarn, it goes under here, and then it disappears into this stitch. I'm just going to follow that with my darning needle, and then I'm going to pull this nice and tight, and this is going to slowly cinch that stitch down on this side. This in effect gives us the exact same result as performing a slip stitch with a crochet hook, but it's done with a darning needle in case you don't have one. Again, all you have to do is weave in your end, and that creates a very nice seamless join.